Fingers crossed.
Oh,
we're live.
Hi, Jane. How are you?
I'm great, Alice. How are you?
Oh, all right. It's great to be with you again tonight. So I guess it's Spiritual Talk Live.
And our guest has actually shown up today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 2 seconds. Keep talking. I got to find the banner. Okay.
8 p.m. That went well, Jane, didn't it?
Yeah. Did it? Well, that's good.
Yeah, not bad at all. Yeah. Well, tonight is going to be a great night. We have actually got spiritual medium and psychic Jorie Lynn from Florida, who's also an astrologist as well. So this will be a lovely night having a chat with her. This lovely lady has also she does healing as well. She does Reiki. So she does quite a lot. And we're going to have a chat about everything that she actually does. So it should be interesting. And people feel free to put comments on for questions.
Okay, so let's bring her in.
Yeah.
Hi, Jorie.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see you again.
Well, thank you so much for the invite. I'm excited to be here and to just share time with both of you today.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. Well, Paul's having a night off tonight, so we wish Paul well, and his partner as well. And they're having a lovely time, I believe, in Ireland.
Yes.
So have a great time wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Yeah, and behave. Be good.
Good.
Yeah. So well, Jorie, I'm quite excited to learn about your journey. I know that it all began for you at a very young age, but then things opened up for you after your father passed away. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I can just tell you a little bit about how it happened. I will say I'm excited to share this because there's definitely things that I was wrong about throughout my journey. There were things that, I didn't understand at the time that I think listeners may resonate with, that they also or might be in some of those spots. So when I was younger, I could see the spirit people as if they were real people. They were in color. I couldn't tell the difference. It actually was quite embarrassing because I'd be like, oh my gosh, slow down the car. We're going to hit someone. Oh, wait, there's nobody there. There's nobody in the road. I spent most of my life being afraid. So because I didn't understand what it was that I was seeing, neither of my parents really believed in that type of thing. And so I hid under the cover. Whenever I'd feel that presence in my room, I would hide under the cover. And I just, I'd see stuff move around the house. And it didn't help. The house that I grew up in was a house from like the 1800s. And it was a home in which there were honestly gravestones in the barn. And the person had committed suicide before my parents bought the house. And so I think that the spirit activity was really there. But because we were raised Southern Baptist, in a Christian religion, I was told just to ignore all spirits, they could be evil. And so I listened to that advice and I decided to just ignore them and act like they weren't there and do my career in education. So I decided to be a teacher, and I worked my way through.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. You were a school teacher for children. So that must have been quite interesting for you as well, because children, as you know, are quite open as well to spirit world, aren't they? You know, and how did you feel when you were working with children? Could you pick up anything from them?
Well, I love being with children because their energy is so pure and loving, and they're more open to the other side. They truly are. They aren't scared a lot of times, and they just have this knowingness. I remember a story of actually when I was a principal at the time, I had an open door policy where I would let staff or students just come in my office if they needed to talk to me. And a 5th grade girl said, "Oh my gosh, I need to talk to you. It's very urgent." Oh my gosh, okay, come in. What's going on? Tell me what's happening. And she said, "Well, something's been happening in our lunchroom." I said, "Oh goodness, what is it?" She said, "Well, when we're eating lunch," she said, "there at the back of our lunchroom, there's a man that's there, and he's been there for 2 days, and I don't want him there anymore." I said, "Okay, well, the problem is," I said, "I'm in the lunchroom every day, and I've never seen him." And she looked at me and said, "He's not living, and I know you can see him."
Wow.
And I remember I was just blown away because I'm like, do they know? Do the kids know that I know?
Yeah. Carol's put a comment up. Have you revisited your old house since becoming spiritual, and are the same spirits there?
Well, I will tell you that after my dad passed away, I needed to go and clear out that house, just to move his things. It was our family home for 40 years. And I was scared to go back. Now, I was already a principal at this time when this took place. But when I went back to the house, I decided I was going to play the music really loud, and I was going to get my work done. And I refused to sleep in the house. I would rather drive an hour to my mom's house than to actually sleep in it. So when I got to the house, the strangest thing actually happened as I was cleaning it out. I remember walking around saying, this house, in my mind, I thought it was the house or the land that was causing all my issues, And so I said, "I'm ready to hear what you have to say. You've been torturing me my whole life. I remember being a child and being so scared." And I did not hear anything that day when I was going around and, screaming. I guess it was silly that I was doing that. But then the next day, a woman drove by and she pulled in, and I thought, oh, maybe she wants to buy the house. So she came to the door and said, "I feel like I was led to this house." She says, I'm a psychic medium. And I said, "Oh, why are you coming to my house in the middle of the country, like on a tiny road? Like, what drew you to my house?" And she said, the spirits that are here, they told her stories about me playing with them when I was younger, and about, how they were, they loved my family and they were sad to kind of see my family go. But I immediately after that, I called every church and said, "I think I need someone to come to the house and give me a blessing or something." I was thinking that, something was wrong with the house. But all the churches told me, no, they don't provide that service. And I was like, "What do you mean? It's a church. Do you talk to spirits?"
Yeah, of course. Yeah. How did your family take to, sorry, Jane.
No, I'm just trying to figure things out on this end, on the computer end. It's a lot. It's okay.
How did your family take to you doing this work with their Christian value?
Well, I'd say they didn't understand right away. But the way that I realized, I guess, the ability as it turned on was right after that incident with the house. I was on the phone with my grandfather, and I said, we were talking about how my dad wasn't around for the graduation. And I heard, as clear as we're talking today, "I was there and you didn't see me." And I knew it was my dad. I knew it was my dad. And I went home and I told my mother, I said, "I think I'm hearing him." And she said to me, "Well, you've always been sensitive. It makes sense, that maybe you did hear him." So after I told my family, I think I had people with mixed opinions, of course, about me hearing from the other side. But I think that there was support and belief because of everything they had seen in our childhood, you know, in that home. There was enough that that they felt like I was telling the truth.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So does your dad still come to you to this day?
He does. He, you know, actually last night I was in a circle. We did a group, and four mediums all brought in my dad in a different way. We were doing double linking, actually. We were just having fun. And it was interesting to see him come through in that way, just showing his support. And I do believe he's my biggest supporter now, because you have a different relationship with them on the other side. The relationship I have with my dad now, I feel, is even stronger than the relationship I had with my dad when he was living. We understand each other a bit more.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I understand that too. Yes.
Yeah. 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 It is a different relationship you're having now, though, with your father as well, and I can understand that too. You know, I'd read that you visit hospices and hospital. You pay hospital visits to hospices as well. So how did that come about for you, Jorie?
Well, you know, it's actually kind of a sad story in the fact I thought I was just going to be a medium. You know, we all think this is what I'm going to do. After I realized it just occurred to me that that life is so important. And even though I'm serving as a principal, it's really important that I also serve in this role. But about a year ago, when I was doing mediumship still with clients, I ended up falling very, very ill. I ended up getting really sick, and my liver levels were 5 times what they should be. And I was like, my eyes were yellow and my skin was scratchy, and I was so sick. And I have young children, you know, and I even had a hard time taking care of my kids because I was in a bit of pain. And they also saw that I had lumps in my breasts, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, what's happening? It was actually really heartbreaking. And I came to the realization that as mediums, we're really not afraid to die. Like I personally, I wasn't really afraid of it, but I was terrified for my children, you know, not knowing, you know, what someone will raise them, or, you know, that they would be taken care of. So I tried, you know, the doctors kept doing ultrasounds and trying different things. And it occurred to me, well, could I heal myself? I don't know. It just kind of, you know, is it possible? I don't believe it. I'm very much a skeptic, and I kind of have been a skeptic about everything, even about guides and pets. And I used to be a skeptic about everything. And so I said, well, could I heal myself? And so I started to read different ways. I saw tapping methods, and I saw these methods to try healing. I also had a friend that's like, I will do, you know, Reiki with you. I went to Casadega, which is right near where I live. Actually, I live right near Casadega, and I did the spiritual healing with them. And I tried everything, and I can't say what it was that changed it. But during my readings, I started to see medical issues with people. And I remember praying to God, praying to Spirit, saying, I don't need to go through cancer in order to understand and be appreciative of life. You know, I don't need to go through this in order to be a healer. I remember those discussions, but going through that sickness I just got better all of a sudden. I never did anything. I can't tell you exactly how or why, but the lumps came back being benign. The liver condition went away, and I was so thankful. But then I just started to work with people, and I'm floored every time they have the results that they have. I'm floored, you know, whether it be far away or in person. So it's spirit. It's not me. I will say that. None of it's me. None of it is. I always start with that with clients. It never is me. It's them. It's the spirit world and the divine power. And
yeah, totally believe that. There is so much proof as well of people that have actually, through the mind and the power of the mind, have actually cured many illnesses, you know. So I totally believe that, you know.
A client and I were actually talking about this exact thing yesterday, how powerful the mind is, because I love learning about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And we are actually talking about, like, this is a little on the side, but eating a hamburger and telling your mind that it's equivalent to a salad.
Yeah.
And my client said, do you think that that's actually possible? And I said, yes, I do believe it is, that you can eat a hamburger, tell your body that it's delicious and it's as healthy as a salad, and it will trick your subconscious mind into thinking that you're eating a salad. So yeah, it's
try
powerful.
that with chocolate.
But it's true. It's true. You can. The mind is so powerful. I think it's more powerful than we actually realize it is.
Yeah.
That we haven't even discovered half of what it can do.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's only a small amount of the brain that we actually use. You know, there's so much of the brain. Even scientists, neurologists, etc., still are working on that. They still don't know about. You know, we're more advanced now than we were. You know, like 50 odd years ago, but there's still an awful lot to do there. You know, yeah. I also was reading through your profile as well that you've been taught by many great mediums as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to name any or all, or share that?
I will tell you that what allowed me to survive once I realized I had the abilities was I went through the entire series with Martin Tycross. You know, he has that series where he takes you from, you know, just developing all the way through. And I think I listened to his stuff 2 weeks straight because I was like, I need to know what's happening to me, because it was so natural for me. I didn't have to meditate. I'm not really a good meditator. I just listen and there it is. And listening to him helped me understand what was happening and how I could, move forward. The journey within was pivotal. I watched Janet Know Havoc, you know, for years. And I really loved the messages, along with, you know, watching the mediumship of the best mediums, you know, came through there that I was able to watch. And, you know, I'm very blessed that I had a strong circle as well. And I've had a lot of teachers. I've went to as much as and the reason I've had so many teachers is because I believe there's so much more to know. I don't believe I'm ever going to get to the point that I know it all. I don't envision that ever could possibly happen. So I want to continue to prepare myself, but it isn't for me, you know, and this is the part that I've learned most about spirit in my journey is when I was sitting in circle and I'd had a couple tutors, wonderful tutors, and they said, "You're ready to go professional." I said, no, I don't want to do that. It's a little bit embarrassing. It is not looked as positively in some areas, you know, being a medium, actually, it's, you know, people are a little bit nervous of that. And so I was afraid of what people might think. And I heard spirit say, "This isn't about you."
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
They said, "It's about you serving other people. It's about you opening your computer screen and opening your office door and serving people." And after they told me that, whenever I get in my own head or I feel nervous or I feel a certain way, spirit has never let me down. They have always shown up, even though I get fearful, like, oh, well, will there be someone on the other side when I link in? They've always been there. It's never happened if they're not there.
Yeah. I do understand that as well. It's all about trust, isn't it? You know, and building your relationship up with spirit world, you know. And I feel when you do that, the trust is so strong that it's without a doubt that you know that when you do stand up, they'll be there. You know, and it's just building that up, though, isn't it? Yeah, there's another question coming forward for you, Jorie.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Carol, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So Carol asks, if people have passed while you have been at the hospice, have you seen the spirit leave the body?
I did see that, but it was actually with my stepdad.
Oh.
Okay. So he was very ill very quickly with COVID. It was very unfortunate. It just, you know how it was. It just would hit people, and, you know, it just, and so he was intubated on the tube in the hospital. And I saw it from afar because you weren't allowed to go in the hospital during COVID. So they were turning him on his stomach, and then they would try and turn him. And it brought me to tears. And it wasn't because there was a problem with it. It was just the most miraculous, amazing thing I think I've seen in my entire life. It was just like this beam of light. This is what it looks like to me. This beam of light just came and held him. And he was excited because he recognized the people on the other side. And they sort of just lovingly, gingerly just picked him up. And he was so happy to kind of be relieved of his bodily his ailments that he had. As far as some of the clients I have at a hospital setting, some of them I I see them on Zoom. So you can they put my camera up next to their tray table, and then I'm able to look through, I clear their chakras. We work through their health. And I noticed some ailments, and I study a lot of Harry Edwards, actually. I read all of those old books. I'm really into, and I am quite a researcher. Like, I read the entire Bible, the Mormon Bible, the Spiritualist Handbook. Before I went into this work, I highlighted everything that said about mediums. I know for me, 1 Corinthians 12 really spoke to me. But as I do, I guess, the healing work, it's different for every person. For some of them, I can actually just see when the spirit world works on them in the hospital, and it's like a blanket kind of going over them. Some of them, it looks kind of like a boom of like some sort of tumor. And then, like, if there's calcium, sometimes that dissipates. So I visually see it, or I have the clear sentience. I just feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was a long explanation.
No,
I'm sorry about that. Maybe I went too far.
So when you're not working, like, I know we're always working, but if you don't have a client in front of you and you're out in the public and you see something within somebody, do you say something or do you keep it to yourself?
I've only made the mistake of saying something a couple times. I was a leaky faucet. I'm sorry. I have to admit, I did a couple times fall when I because Martin, I read it. I know what he said about it, but there were times where I felt like spirit was prompting me to say something.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did, it was at the playground. My kids were playing with this other woman, and I just felt so prompted to talk to her. And then she starts telling me, my daughter died, my son died, I'm the only one living, I'm taking care of their children. And I said, well, your daughter, and she walked away from that kind of confused, I think. At the time, I mean, she understood what it was I said, but I don't know that I had that right. So I have to be more conscientious of other people's thoughts. Yeah. So I haven't done it in a long time.
It's definitely a learning curve. I know I've had to go through that. I'm sure, Alice, perhaps you have as well, but or maybe not.
No, I've never been what do you call them? Supermarket sweep. And you're in the supermarket and you're wanting to stop someone and say anything. I've not really done that. And I think probably because of my lack of confidence way back then. I had such bad confidence issues way back then that that's probably why I never did it. It wasn't until years later when my confidence was getting built up, with the help of other people, that I started to believe in what I was receiving, and so I haven't really done that, but I think that's why. I think that's probably why,
That's good.
But then I also feel with you as well, Spirit was bringing you there to that lady for a reason, and I kind of can understand why as well. It wasn't just out the blue for no reason. You were getting drawn there because she was really kind of needing help, but and Spirit were trying to help through you, so I can understand that. Yeah.
I think because of the job I had, as a school principal, I'm used to people, either being upset or I don't mind that. And my confidence maybe was too high. So since then, and I'm in a different world now, because this is a brand new, profession, even though I told myself I'm never going to school again, that was my favorite line that I've ever said. I went to college for 8 years, I was in college 8 years for that job. And then when I switched into this, I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. Now I'm in class all the time.
Yeah.
So you also do pet communication?
Yes. I love pets. I actually have a bunch of baby bunnies right now. And I'd like to actually own every type of pet so I can understand what they're saying. what I find the most interesting and that people love is the more of the psychic pet readings, where people will bring in, or they'll show me a photo of their pet, and I meet with their pet ahead of time and find out their behavioral disorders, find out what's going on medically with the pet. So, and I always tell people, I see a part of everything, but do I see 360? I cannot tell you I see everything. And so I feel like I always share that with my clients, that they should, if they're not sure, check with a vet, check with a doctor. No profession's 100% correct, including doctors and lawyers and psychics. If we think we're 100% correct, I'm concerned for us. So I'm just very upfront when I share with them everything that's going on with their pet. And then deceased pets, which I didn't think was possible to connect with them. When I started to connect with them, I went, oh my gosh, this whole time I've had to, what do you call it? Eat crow. We call it eat crow over here.
Eat crow. Yep. Here too.
So that's a terminology we use when it says we have to eat our words.
Yeah.
Like when I said, I don't think I have guides. Like I went actually 2 years in mediumship without believing I had guides, because I was very spirit led. And I said, if there's guides, spirit will show me. Well, guess what? I did get shown that, but it wasn't right away.
Yeah. I can understand that as well. I've been shown a couple of my guides, but I haven't seen them for a while, so they must be busy.
So here's a good question from Carol, almost said from Alice. Has an animal ever just said, I'm being naughty because I don't like my owner?
I love that question. And I did have a pet say that they didn't want to be with that owner anymore. And they were kind of misbehaving because they didn't want to be there because the owner never let them outside. Like the pet really had a desire to be outside, had a desire to do that. But the owner was so scared because they lived in like a city and they were afraid that the pet was going to get hit. And so it would sometimes use the bathroom different places, and it would do things because it wasn't living its full life. So we just have those conversations with the pet and say, do you want to stay? Do you want to go? What is it that, is going to best serve them? But I think ultimately with pets, you have to have respect with them. And a lot of the pet owners, they come because they want to know how to communicate with their pet. So communicating with pets, you want to show, that picture in your mind. Show the picture in your mind of going to get food or doing things instead of just using words. I think animals understand us right away. I don't think they ever need help.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They understand us better than we understand ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah. I know that you do Reiki, but I also know that you do the singing. Is it singing crystal balls that you do as well?
Yeah. So the crystal balls I use, also I will use sometimes a bell, but what I'm doing is I just am trying to get the frequency. So as part of the healing process, some of the areas seem to move better when they have frequency. So if I look at like your body, and I do it in person or far away, but it almost looks like guitar strings, like your body. And then in certain area of your body, there could be like a disturbance in the guitar strings is what it looks like. So when you add the frequency, I do use crystals sometimes with it, just to move that energy with the crystals. I use sometimes essential oils to help people relax. But it's really helping them. It's just initiating their ability to heal, truly. Yeah. It's helping somebody else empower themselves to be able to heal and to get through some of this. So I always tell them, breathe in cosmic energy, breathe out disease, breathe out what no longer serves you. So sometimes I have them help me in the session if it's getting a little stuck in certain chakras will become, they're not flowing as well.
Every time there's certain words that you're saying, Jorie, that are giving me goosebumps, like full body. When you said guitar strings, my whole body's just like, I'm like, oh my God.
And that's validation that what I'm saying is true when you get goosebumps. Yes.
And unfortunately, we do have a spammer on here, but
we do. I see that.
I can't block them because it's just coming up as Facebook user. So I'm very sorry, guys. Usually we can block them, but they're being sneaky cheeky.
Just
terribly sorry.
Just ignore.
Yeah, just ignore.
I'm good at ignoring. I do have 2 boys that are very young and they're very active, so I'm really good at just focusing on other things.
Oh, lovely. So how old are your boys then?
So my boys, I actually had kids a little later in life. I met my husband later in life, so my kids are in 1st and 2nd grade. So they're about 7 and 8.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Do you feel one of your children or any of your children have got a little bit of the intuition and spiritual connection that you have?
Yeah, I did some research to determine how in the world, because both of my parents looked at me like I was crazy when I was telling them these things. I believe I had ability from my dad's side and my mom's side. I have an English and Irish background from my dad. My mom, there is some Native American and different other pockets of things. Together, they created children that we had some sort of ability. With my children, I waited. I really did. I said, I'm going to raise them to be conscientious of the spirit world, but I don't know if I will see evidence that they have the ability. But I found out on my son's about his fifth birthday when he said to me, he woke me up in the middle of the night. He's like, "Mom, come to my room." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I can't do this. I'm working and I'm tired." And so I said, "Okay, I'll come to your room." I came to his room and he says, "Mom, someone's in there." And you always think it's the little goosebump thing under the bed but when I went in the room, I had chills completely go through my body and every hair on my body stood up. You know that feeling. We all get it.
I got it right now. Yeah.
And I was like,
right now.
And I actually grabbed him and ran out of the room. Now, I know that sounds silly, but it's 2:00 in the morning. I didn't want to have time to communicate. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And so I went, "Oh my gosh." And then he said to me, probably that next year, he said, "Mom, your grandma's in heaven and she's there with her 3 kids and she's very happy." And I looked at him and I said, "What are you saying?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm saying." But how would he know? Because he'd never met that grandma. She did have 3 kids in spirit with her. So and the younger one is more of an empath, more of a healer, actually. He says, "Mom, I need to be a healer, but I think I'm going to be a doctor and a healer at the same time because you kind of need both."
Okay. Yeah. That's true. That's very true. It's the same with any sort of healing profession, nurses, doctors, psychologists, consultants, it's just the same, isn't it? It's all part of your spiritual journey and your work there as well. I'm just looking, I thought I had a question there, but no, I'm not.
Sharon wrote, do you have any siblings that have your ability?
They definitely both could have the same experiences as me. One is more of a healer, and one of them, she's probably a better medium than me, but they are choosing not to follow that path right now. And I respect them. I was told early on, it's not my job. I love this. The spirit world's the best teacher. I tell you. It is. I'm always like, "Oh my gosh." But they said, it is not your job to tell anybody about the spirit world or to try to convince anyone. In fact, they told me I could not offend anybody. So I have clients, that are witches, that are Christians, that are spiritualists, that are atheists. I have clients that are everything because they told me it's not my job. I have to just be calm and be mindful and serve wherever I'm asked to serve. So they, and they told me that gingerly with my husband too. That was tough when you're coming out of the closet as being a medium. And I told my husband, I'm like, "I'm hearing voices." He's like, "We're going to set up a doctor's appointment for you." I'm like, "No, I'm hearing and he's like, "No." And then they even have a center in Arizona where they check your brain. So while you're doing mediumship, they run the MRI on you because they want to see where is the activity happening in your brain. And they can prove from a scientific point of view that you are really, in fact, a medium. And he's like, "Well, maybe we should sign you up." And I was like, whoa. I'm just kind of learning as I go. But he has been the greatest blessing. I believe he was sent from above. He's the most incredible man. So I'm blessed that when these abilities came on, instead of being a principal, he would be okay being married to a psychic medium. And he says, "I don't care what you do as long as you're happy."
Yeah, that's right. You can't ask for any more than that, can you, really?
No, I can't.
No,
is that center in Arizona? Is it run by Dr. Jim Hart?
I can't remember the doctor's name. That could be accurate, but I'm not sure.
Is it the Bio-Cybernaut Institute?
That sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. I don't think the study is still going, but at that time, because it's been years.
Yeah, I used to work for that scientist, and I used to work at the Bio-Cybernaut Institute here in Victoria when it used to be here. So I know exactly what you're talking about because I went through
we were supposed to cross paths. I mean, we was a near miss right there.
Yes, I went through that training. I did all that brain training. So I know exactly what it is. I know exactly what you're talking about.
How was it? That would be really interesting.
Yeah, Jane, how was it?
It was amazing. It was very hard to describe, but like each brainwave was given a musical note. So when I went into, we called it the chamber. So when I went into the chamber, we would say, "See you on the other side" to the clients, and we're like, "Hee hee hee." We were nerds, but when I went into the chamber and you sit in the dark, it's pitch black dark. For me, it was like going into your car, turning the radio up blast, and hearing those musical notes. It sounded like a carousel, like a horse carousel.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it was quite fascinating because I don't remember a lot of my childhood because of all my cancer treatments. It just wiped my memory clean. But you ended up, all these old memories came up. I had a mystical experience with a dragon that showed up, this massive, huge dragon. Like it was amazing. It was amazing. And it was a lot of deep healing, spiritual, medical. It was amazing. It's really hard to explain. Like even working as a technician, we didn't really know what happened until we actually did the program. And then after the program, it was so strange. Like I felt like I was walking around in a different dimension. It was so bizarre, so bizarre. Colors were different. I actually got pulled over by the cops driving home. And that was funny in itself because it was a checkpoint and and he just kind of looked at me, shone a light on my hair because I had all this electrical paste in my hair. And I have hand tremors naturally. And he's like, why are you shaking? I said, I'm just coming from a brain training center. And he's like, okay, because he looks at all the electrical paste in my hair. Like, just let me go, but it was fascinating. So all of that training stays with you for lifelong.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry I missed it. I mean, that just made me feel like I've really missed something.
It was pretty amazing. It was so hard to describe, but yeah, and Dr. Jim Hart, he's very eccentric. That's the only way that I can say it, really. Yeah. But he was fascinating to talk to, and I'm so glad I did the opportunity. I'm so glad I worked there. Yeah. I think it's like a once in a lifetime kind of thing to attend. But I think maybe that's where my fascination of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind comes from.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you ever get the chance, do it.
I've learned
incredible.
Never say never.
Never say never. Yeah.
Never say never, because as soon as I say I'm not doing something, that's exactly what the spirit wants me to do. So
yes, that's true.
Apparently there's one in Germany, and I think that there's one in Mexico. Okay. The one here packed up, it no longer is here, but as far as I know, there's one in Sedona, one in Germany, and one in Mexico. So, but yeah, it was fascinating. Like I can't even speak about it. You just had to kind of go in there because you're just in the pitch black. You learn how to enhance your brain waves, and you learn how to suppress your brain waves. And you get indication if you're doing it right. If you are enhancing, you get indication on a computer. You're just doing it by your thoughts, or if you suppress your brain waves, you're told that you are, and you can actually hear if you're suppressing your brain waves because of the musical notes. I could do a whole show on this conversation.
I'm actually really fascinated about it.
I just took away from you, but yeah, it was fascinating. It was fascinating. Everybody should do it.
Oh, I think that would be great. I would love to do that. I really would. Yeah. And even the psychic mediumship part of it as well, analyzing while you're actually doing your demonstration or readings or whatever. I just think it's all interesting. There's so much more we don't know that we need to know, because it helps advance us as well, as mediums. And although I don't know what your thought is on this, Jorie, but I believe we're all mediums, and we come in here to this world as spiritual mediums, and we're all capable of doing it. It just depends if you want to, or if you perhaps you don't do it for a while but then come back later on and do it. But I don't believe that it's just a spiritual gift for certain people. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a very evidential person. I'm always looking and trying to find facts and pulling it. From everything that I've read and, even looked into, I believe that we all have a level of ability, whether we choose. It's like a natural born thing. So with my clients, I always say, this is how you're going to connect with your loved one. And when they walk away, they're like, I didn't know I was going to have a relationship with them. I said, yeah, this is the start. This is the start of your relationship. Now you're going to move forward and you're going to talk to them and you're going to communicate. And so I find different ways of just helping them open up themselves. Sometimes people do need that Reiki clearing, even though I was not a believer in Reiki. I want to tell you, I thought that stuff was, just ridiculous. I thought it was hogwash. I did. And I was like, I'm a medium. Mediums would not deal with psychic and hogwash. For whatever reason in my mind, I thought mediumship was so much better. But you know what I learned? It's not about me. It was the spirit world. Because guess what the clients wanted? They called me. I need psychic. I get phone calls every day. There's not enough of us serving. I feel like if every medium needs to throw up their profile and start working on clients, because I was never going to be good enough. That was something I had to understand, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I don't know if you can tell, but I am. I like my stuff a certain way. And I said, we all need to serve, because what spirit told me is they're going to send me the right clients. We never steal each other's clients, because the people that are drawn to me are here for Jorie or to Jane or to Alice. And we all, and so it's just something. I think I went on my own rabbit trail. Sorry. I was just like, it's just from speaking from my heart. I'm speaking from my heart. Just, letting this is a passion. Like, I had a very good paying job. Like, I was a happy person. But for me to move forward with something that I felt was more important, this changes people's lives. Like, after I have a reading with them, they're never this, or anyone has a reading with them, they're not the same, and it changes them. And I believe we can change the world from the inside out by each person having a reading that's a heartfelt reading that is touching their soul. It will then change the way that they behave. If people knew that their parents and grandparents were watching them when they were misbehaving, that would change the way that they view things. And once you talk to them and you can prove that their loved ones are still there, then they start to reflect on themselves. And I've had so many clients say to me, I had to go back to church. I can't believe you made me go back to church. And I was like, I didn't. If the spirit's speaking with you, whatever resonates with them. So I'm passionate. I'm sorry. I'm a passionate person. I don't mean to,
perfect.
I try not to, I'm just passionate.
I think though, for what we do, you've got to be passionate about, you have to be passionate about it. You have to love what you're doing, so never be sorry for that, never be sorry for being you, and someone put up, Jordan's put up, Jorie has lovely energy.
Oh, so kind. Thank you.
And you do have.
You do,
yeah. He's also put on, does Jorie work with the angels? There's two there with her.
Yes, actually, I can't explain it, and I'm not. And all of us, have very important guides, but my main guide looks kind of angelic. Named, it's like Angelo is what he shared with me and there is something very, like, I notice people are always drawn into me. I notice I do have a white light a lot of times. I do have that angelic presence. A lot of people feel that. But I think that's just the spirit world using me, even everything that we are, the way my behavior, the way I look, the jobs I've had, everything has led to this moment. And it's to draw in people to let them know there's more to life, because people are sad. People are going through really hard times. And I believe we're there to give them hope. We're there to show them. that there's beautiful things.
You actually made a comment earlier on. It's not about us, and absolutely, absolutely. Do you know? I think that's what changed for me. And you know, when I was getting training, it gave me I'm more than convinced it was that gave me the confidence to stand up, because then in my head it would be, you know, just calm down, Alice, you know, because this ain't about you once you stand up here. You know, this is about spirit communicating through you to the recipients that's in the audience. So get yourself out the road. And as soon as I started to get Alice out the road and I was the medium, then I'm sure that's when my confidence changed, you know, because I wasn't me then. I was the medium. I was a medium, you know. Whereas before I would be, oh, if I stand up and there's nothing, and I'm going to look a fool because I'll be standing up there and there'll be nothing. Oh, you know, you get yourself in that little tiz. You know, as soon as I got that out the road, then things completely changed. You know, so totally, I'm with you on that. Yeah. What about you, Jane?
Oh yes, I definitely agree. You know, once you take yourself out of the equation, everything flows smoothly, and you know the confidence comes in. It's wonderful. Yeah,
it is lovely. It is lovely. I think someone was asking if we're doing messages. Yeah, we're doing messages tonight. Yes, it's on Zoom. There we go.
Just Alice's. Yeah, just Alice.
It's just me.
It's just you, because I have a work meeting after this.
Me, so. 1,000 spirits coming with me.
I would be there if I could, but I can't. So
So if anyone is interested in coming on, the Zoom code is there, and there will be spiritual messages getting passed on Zoom. Okay, and there it is there at the bottom of the screen. I think we forgot to mention that at the beginning.
We've just been thrown to the wolves. Just thrown to the wolves tonight, so it's all good.
And also we're still doing the prize as well for free readings, liking and sharing.
There we go.
Keep liking and sharing. To it again for a prize for tonight. And
who's giving the reading? Is it you or Paul or me?
I have no idea. We'll sort it out. We'll sort it out between the three of us, and you'll get a lovely reading regardless who it is.
I'm somebody.
So, yes. Yeah. It'll be one of us.
Okay.
So actually, you know, what I haven't had a chance to ask you about is the astrology side of things. How is that in with your mediumship? How do you find that with your mediumship, or is it kind of separate?
So my healing guide, his name is Stella, and she looks like a constellation. So I think focusing on astrology is something I do a little bit of, but I don't necessarily share it with clients yet. Have you ever done that with abilities? Like I did the healing for a while before putting it up. In the pet mediumship, I did a while before putting it up. So I'm still kind of learning about the astrology, as well as astral projection. I'm still kind of learning about that, and also physical mediumship. And there's so many things like that. I feel like I'm still growing. So I had a client say to me, I had a meeting with them like a year ago, and then I had another meeting, and they said to me, "You're a completely different person than the person I met with last year. You're not the same." And I went, "Oh," and it because we don't notice the subtle changes. And he says, "You're so much better." And then I went, "Oh my gosh, what was I a year ago, when I met him and I worked with him?" So I feel like we're always growing and developing. So that's an area that I'm still kind of working and developing, but there's some truth to a lot of things. And I really, my greatest guide is spirit. And I wait for them to tell me what to do. Because when I've gotten stubborn, because I can be stubborn and, not listen to them. When I feel a prompting, I'm getting better at following them. So when they said do healing, I did healing. Well, because I was sick. So same with that. I'm waiting to hear move forward, move forward in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good that you're actually learning it, and that's the thing. It's a continuous learning, isn't it, Jorie? It's a continuous learning. It's never ending, and that's a good thing about it. And I think that keeps your ego in check as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you actually started to say, well, there's no point in doing that or learning that because I know that. No, you don't. No, you don't. There's always more to learn, you know. And I agree with you on that. Even I'm talking about mediumship there. You know, I mean, I still go on training programs.
Yes.
And because you're learning all the time. You're learning all the time. You know, and astrology for a fact, I think that would be an interesting thing to learn. I have never done it, but I have been interested in it, and I do believe even numerology. I don't know if you've ever thought about. I think that would be interesting as well, the numerology side of things as well. You know, because all these numbers do mean something, you know.
Yes.
You don't think that though, do you? You don't really think that, but actually they really do. So what's happening now, Jorie? What's coming up for you now?
So some of the things that I'm working on, I started actually writing a children's book with my son. So I want to write it with him to really impact our younger people, because our energy needs to really be on some of these younger children and the younger generation, because I see a big shift happening with the younger generation. So I want to help them understand more about themselves, more about spirituality. But the book is written in a way to help children know what happens when somebody dies. Yeah. And it really goes through and says, oh, wait, I'm looking for my grandma, but I see a butterfly. You know, and you turn I'm looking for my grandma, but I see coins on the ground, you know, just different things like that. And in a way that children can understand it. Also, I think that, you know, Spirit has told me eventually that, you know, I will work. I've had people reach out and say, hey, do you ever want to teach anything? Because I was a teacher, so it's natural to be a teacher. But I said, no, Spirit's not leading me there yet. Eventually, I do think when Spirit prods me, that I'll move forward in that way. And I think the other thing that is just keeping my priorities and keeping a different style of mediumship, because my style is more fun and humorous and out there, and we have a good time. And I'm not real straight and stoic and focused. And I don't want people to feel like they're coming to a funeral. You know, when you come to get a mediumship reading, we're going to have fun. And people always come in, and I would say 90% of my clients are brand new. They've never been to a medium. They've never been to a psychic, and they're always scared. You know, they come in and they're like, I don't know what to expect. And so I'm just really working on what style is best for clients, because me in a circle, I'm a different medium than me with clients. It's a very different thing. And so I'm just, you know, working a little bit on that as well.
Yeah. Well, your book sounds going to be interesting. That's excellent. That's really good for children. That really is, because it takes the fear away from it, but also you are kind of preparing children for, because I can remember, I don't know about you, Jorie, but I can remember my first experience of death was when I was 8, when my uncle passed away, and I couldn't understand it. Do you know, I couldn't understand it. And this word, well, he's died. And I'm thinking, well, did they make him better? I couldn't understand him. Is he not coming back? Why is he not coming back? You know, I couldn't understand it all. And it came as quite a big shock to me. Do you know, there was no preparation. Like, I think a little book, like, I mean, even schools and things, they didn't prepare you for that. Do you know, it was, you know, it was all a different kind of preparation that you had. But storybook like that, saying, well, you know, a butterfly, you know, even a bird, or, you know, and that happy feeling that you feel, or nice dreams, or, you know, and what you're doing, I think, is excellent. It's so good. And I think that will do you very well. I think it will be a bestseller. Yeah,
I'm sure it will be.
I think the key, or the last thing that I think is important, is we have to meet people where they are. So some people aren't comfortable with a medium, but they're comfortable with Reiki, or they're not comfortable with a psychic, but then and it always surprises me, people's level of comfortability, because you would think they'd be, you know, comfortable with one and not the other. So I really try to just go meet the client where they are. I guess that's the most important thing. Is sometimes they are talking about their guides and they're very educated, and sometimes they don't realize that loved ones even exist. So it's it's exciting. Oh, it's wonderful.
That's a question.
It's more a so this
statement.
Yeah, thank you. That was the worst thing that was ever happened.
It's okay.
I'm like, I'm trying to do multiple things at once. I have no idea what's going on.
No, it's
yeah. Susan will say that the book will be fabulous. Well done.
Yeah. Good. That is really good that you're going to do that. You know, I don't think there's enough of that about, to be honest. You know, I could be wrong, but I not that I'm aware of anyway.
I get a lot of children in spirit. I went through a month where everyone just wanted to talk to their children. Does that happen to you girls? So you get the same, you know, you get the same themes. And so I think that's what really, being with the children in spirit, it even kind of helped reiterate that people have brothers and sisters. Like when a child passes, they have a brother or sister. Like they need support and help and understanding too.
Yeah. And you will get children because you were a teacher for children. I get a lot of medical things, nursey things. I get I get a lot of all that. And it's not diagnosing anybody. It's just a lot of medical things that's went on with the spirit person that I can understand, you know, as coming forward, you know, like bowel surgery, you know, MIs and you know, having a scope, you know, tubed, intubated, you know, all that kind of stuff. They don't give me things like, well, this is what's to happen. You know, they don't give you anything medical that way, but they work on the nursey things that I know of, you know, and so they probably do the same with you when it comes to the children, you know. And I'm sure it's the same with anybody that whatever profession that they were in, you know, it's good to work that way, because there you've got that there, you've already got that skill, you know, so why not use it, you know? So
I get a lot of cancer survivors, or people that are going through cancer, or loved ones that have passed from cancer, you know, because I've done the same thing. I haven't passed, because that would be a weird conversation right here if I had passed. but yeah, that's the theme I get, is the cancer side of things.
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, that's something that you understand, though. You've been through it. You experienced
Unfortunately, yes, I do understand it.
But you're here to tell that story and to help other people, and other people who are going through that and maybe coming to you for a reading, and either they're going through it or they know someone in spirit world that went through what. So you can empathize with that and deliver it to the you know, to the greatest power that you can, you know.
Yes.
Do you do many events, Jorie? Do you do many events?
So I've started just doing, like, you know, the psychic fairs and, you know, the mediumship fairs. So far, I haven't done very many, but I do see the value in it. You know, I see the value. Honestly, I love the clients I have, but I'm always busy. I generally don't have any openings. So it's like sometimes, so whenever they ask me if I'm doing an event because I need more bookings, it's not that. It's just, I do it because I'm there to try to help people see things in a new way, I guess. You know, I'm trying to, it's kind of like trying to move the consciousness of the world up just a little bit, where they realize it's not about them, you know, and with the anxiety, so I get a lot of women with anxiety and a lot of just really a lot of stress. And so I actually do a series. So sometimes they do one mediumship, one psychic, and then one Reiki. So if they do one of each, hopefully on all three of those levels, it can be profound and can move them forward in the best way. Because that's ultimately what I want. I want everyone to be happy.
I know. But for the best will in the world, although we try, sometimes we just can't, you know. And it's the same in mediumship as well, isn't it? You know, there's a medium for everybody. And you know, and it's we're not everybody's medium, but there is a medium for everybody. And it's the same with people as well. You maybe not just resonate well with some people, but you do with others. Do you know? It's just the same as well. But I think, you know, just like you, if you've got the best intention there in your heart and that love there in your heart, you know, you're not doing spirit an injustice. You know, you're working for them, and it's them that matter at the end of the day.
Yes, indeed. So we've come to the end. The whole hour has passed by. That was pretty quick.
Wow, really?
Really? Bit of a deflation there.
I'm sorry I talked too much, girls.
No, it was all about you. It's all about you. That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
So we've had a few people share. There's a Facebook user that has shared. But if you could look on, if you can see who has shared and picked a winner to win that free 30-minute session with who knows who. See, shared. I've asked Facebook user to say what their name is, and there was somebody that wrote Donna. So if there's anybody that jumps out at you.
Yes, they all jump out, but the one that I see that feels like it would really need that heart love, that extra love is the K Patton.
Paul. Okay, K. So Paul has just shown up, and so it's going to be him for the reading.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
So K, he said K Patton.
Yeah.
Perfect. So congratulations, Kay. If you could please contact Paul. I don't know if you know how, but just send him a private message on his Facebook page, which is Paul Bannister Medium. And I'm sure he will book the appointment with you. I don't know. It's so weird saying that because I have no idea. So hold on. The boss is just, he's like, is the Zoom link on?
Yeah, it's on, Paul. Yeah. It's
on. When the parent is away, the kids will play. So here we are. So yes, the Zoom link has gone across the screen several times, but it's all good. So Jorie, it was lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
And to hear your story and talk with you. Like, somebody jump in here.
It was so much fun. It was so delightful.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's been really good. It's been lovely.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll keep in touch with you as well.
Yes,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you for your kindness. You're both so warm, and I'm really excited to be able to share the passion that I have about our field. So
yeah,
thank you both so much.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you so much, Jorie, and have a lovely, great day in that beautiful sun.
Yes.
I will.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to drop you out and
Bye.
sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. And that's the horrible part. I agree with Paul. That is horrible, just dropping the person out, just saying, sorry, bye, boom, So
The hot seat.
hot seat. Man, I'm sweating even more just doing that. Woo! It's hot doing that. So Alice, it was lovely to work with you and to see you. And I'm so happy to all of our audience that
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yes.
So we will be moving over to Zoom. Well, I'm moving over to Zoom. And Jane.
And I'm going to another Zoom meeting, but with my boss. So fingers crossed I don't get fired. We'll see what happens. If I do, say lovey.
She's joking, by the way. She is joking.
No, not really. Not really. Say lovey. What can you do? Okay.
Well, say lovey, I shall see you over in the Zoom.
Yes, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thanks everybody for coming on. And
yes,
see
thank
you in a
you.
couple minutes.
Okay, bye.
Bye. people putting on things